When Timmy Chased the Cat. Chapter 1. "What are you going to do today?" said Aunt Fanny to the five. They all looked up from their books, except Timmy, who looked up from the bone he was gnawing. "We ought to go for a walk, I suppose," said Julian. "But the wind's so bitter today. I always think January is a pretty dreary month, unless there's snow or we can go skating. But there's no snow, and no ice, only this horrible freezing wind," said Anne. "I'd just as soon stay in and read my Christmas books." "Oh no, we must go out," said George at once. "What about Timmy? He's got to have his usual walk." Timmy's ears pricked up at once when he heard that word. Walk. Ha! Just what he was wanting. He got up at once and ran to George, whining. She patted him. All right, Tim. We'll leave Anne here with her books, and we'll go out for a nice long walk." "Would you like to go to the cinema in Beckton?" asked her mother. "There's a good film on today about circus life. I'll pay for you all if you'd like to go this afternoon." "Mum, I think you're trying to get rid of us," said George. "Well, in a way I am," said her mother with a laugh. "Your dad has 2 friends coming to see him this afternoon, and I really think it would be easier if you were out of the house." "Oh, I see," said George. 2 more of his scientist friends, I suppose. Well, I'd just as soon be out in that case. It's awful not even to be able to sneeze in case I get into trouble for making a noise." "Don't exaggerate, George," said her mother. "Well, Julian, would you like to go to the cinema?" "Of course, and it's very kind of you to pay for us," said Julian. "I tell you what, we'll walk to Beckton, so that we'll give our legs a stretch and get the train back." "Yes, that's a good idea," said Dick. "I feel as if I want a good run." Just listen to Tim thumping his tail on the ground. He thoroughly agrees. Chapter 2. So that afternoon, the 5 set off to walk to Beckton. The wind was in their faces, and it was very cold indeed. But they were soon warm with walking, and even Anne began to enjoy striding out against the wind. Timmy loved it, of course. He was full of high spirits, and pranced and capered and bounded about joyfully. He wagged his long tail 19 to the dozen, chased dead leaves as if they were rats, and made everyone laugh at him. "Dear Tim," said Anne, "it must be lovely to be a dog, and have 4 legs to leap about on, instead of just 2. Halfway to Beckton, they came to a big, rather lonely-looking house called Tarley's Mount. The gates opened onto a short drive that ran to the front steps of the house. On the top of one of the stone gateposts sat a big black cat. It looked disdainfully down at Timmy. At first, Timmy didn't see it, and then he suddenly caught sight of it and stopped. A cat! And a big one, too, but sadly just out of reach. Timmy pranced in front of the gatepost and barked loudly. The cat yawned widely, and then began to wash one of her paws, as if to say, "A dog! Nasty, smelly creature, not worth taking notice of." But Timmy could leap very high, and the cat was suddenly startled to see his head appearing near the top of the gatepost as he jumped. She hissed and spat. "Stop it, Timmy," said George. "You know you're not allowed to chase cats. Come here." The cat spat again. That was too much for Timmy, and he jumped so high that the cat was really alarmed. She leapt right off the gatepost and shot into the bushes at the side of the drive. Timmy was after her in a flash, yelping madly. George yelled, but he took no notice at all. "Bad dog," said Julian. "He'll be ages chasing that cat and hunting for it. He ought to know by now that he isn't a match for any cat living." "I'll go in and see if I can get him," said George. "Hope I don't meet an angry gardener." "We'll come with you," said Dick. "Come on. I can hear Tim down the drive. He must be near the house." Chapter 3. They went in at the gate and down the little drive. Yes, Timmy was by the front door, barking under a tree there. "I bet the cat's sitting on a branch making faces at him," said Julian. "Call him, George." "Timmy! Timmy! Come here at once," shouted George. But he wouldn't. Then, just as they got up to him and George was bending down to take hold of his collar, The cat leapt down the tree and raced round the house to the back. Timmy was after her at once, yelping madly. "Oh no," said George, vexed. "We'll have the people of the house out after us. They must wonder what's going on." They ran round the house after Timmy and came to the back entrance. There was a little yard there, with a clothesline and 2 or 3 dustbins and a coal bunker. The cat was now sitting on top of the bunker, daring Timmy to leap up and get her. "Now then, you dog, you leave that cat alone," said an angry voice, as the 4 children turned into the yard. They saw a neat little woman standing there, in a thick coat with a scarf round her head. She held a small basket in her hand, with a little bottle of milk in it and a jar. "I'm so sorry about our dog," said George, and pounced on Timmy. She got hold of his collar this time and spoke to him sharply. "I'm ashamed of you. Bad dog. Very bad dog." Timmy's tail drooped, and he gave George's hand a very small lick. The little woman watched him, frowning. "He gave me a real fright, that dog of yours," she said, tearing into the yard like a mad thing. "First old Sooty the cat, then the dog." "I hope his barking didn't disturb the people in the house," said Julian. "What's that you say?" said the woman, cupping her hand behind her ear. "I'm a bit deaf." "I said I hope his barking didn't disturb the people in the house," repeated Julian in a louder voice. "Oh, they're away," said the little woman, taking off the top of the milk bottle. "Miss Ella went on Monday, and her old aunt went yesterday. I just came to feed the cat. Here, Sooty, come down and lap your milk, and I'll put your fish down too. Hold that dog, please." She emptied some cooked fish out of the jar and poured milk into an enamel saucer by the back doorstep. The cat sat on the coal bunker and looked down longingly, but wouldn't come near it. "We'll take the dog and go," said Dick. "What did you say?" said the woman. "Oh yes, you go, then old Sooty will come along down. He must be hungry." Chapter 4. The 4 children went round the house again, George holding Timmy's collar. "Funny, I can hear somebody talking," said Anne, suddenly, as they went along the drive. "Can you, Dick?" "Yes," said Dick, puzzled, "but there's nobody about." They all stopped to listen. "It sounds like a loud conversation," said Julian. "Is it coming from the house?" "No, you heard what the woman said." "The people are away," said George. "It must be somebody talking very loudly in the road." But the talking couldn't be heard when they reached the gates. "Oh well, it was probably gardeners somewhere in the trees off the drive," said Dick. "Come on, we'll be late for the film if we don't hurry up." They were just in time for it, and settled down to watch the circus story on the screen. It was very good, and they all enjoyed it thoroughly. They collected Timmy from the kindly attendant, and he barked in welcome. They felt very hungry, and the little cafe opposite looked very inviting, with its wonderful display of cakes in the window. "Come on, I'll buy tea for everyone, providing George doesn't eat more than 6 cakes," said Julian, rattling the money in his pocket. "Timmy, I'll buy you one too." They had a wonderful tea and finished up with an ice cream each. Timmy was treated to a cake and a biscuit, and licked George's ice cream saucer clean. "Well, I don't know if we can manage to walk to the station now," said Dick. "I feel pretty full." "What's the matter, George?" "I was just feeling Timmy's collar, and he's lost his tail wagger badge," said George. "It's got his name and address on it. Oh no, I only bought him a new one last week." "If we want to catch the train back, we'd better get a move on," said Julian, looking at his watch.